everybody. Welcome to the third episode of the DivaKnitz Podcast. Number 3. Oh my gosh. I am Alicia. I'm DivaKnitz on, as Opera Joe says, all of the social medias. I'm DivaKnitz on Instagram, on Ravelry, and on Etsy, but I have nothing in my store yet, so stay tuned, maybe in the fall. It's episode 3, and I have faithful, well, since I've looked at this moment, a faithful, fabulous 19 subscribers. Guys, thank you. It's awesome. I really appreciate it. And a huge shout out to Opera Joe, Joanna. Thank you so much for your huge shout out on your podcast today. I watched the most recent episode. I believe it's episode 9. So thank you for that shout out. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everybody who's been watching. I didn't know if this would be a flop or not. Hopefully it's not. That was a very Rochester accent of me. I live in Texas, but I am a true-blooded Rochesterian from Rochester, New York. And I am a singer. I'm a soprano like Opera Joe and soprano knits, Becky. Hi, Becky. Hi, Joanna. And I'm also a voice teacher. I teach at Tarleton State University here in Texas. And I also teach out of my home. So here I am. So I'm looking at my show notes because my show notes are sort of a mess. There's so many things I want to talk about. I won't even show you how bad it is. It's pretty bad. Definitely not as organized as I could be, that's for sure. So I said thank you to the subscribers. Thank you guys so much. You are the fabulous 19. It used to be the fabulous 6. Now it's the fabulous 19. Woohoo! Thank you guys so much. Thank you to everybody who's started following me on Instagram. Love it. Most of you are just like me, obsessed with knitting. And I know Diana, huge shout out to Diana. Hey, Diana. I feel like we're friends already, because we're friends on Instagram. And, that is really, the true meaning of friendship, isn't it? Knitters who come together on Instagram. Hashtag Knitters of Instagram. What else? Oh, we also have a Ravelry group. It's the DivaKnitz Ravelry group. So go there and I'll post show notes. I haven't done the episode 2 notes yet. I will. I promise. I promise. And then I'll put 2 and 3 up all together, hopefully tomorrow. And thank you to any new viewers who are just starting with me. This is a knitting podcast. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. I'm learning from you, Joanna. I'm learning. And Sue and Chelsea and the grocery girls. Everybody, you guys are fabulous and you're teaching me so much about podcasting and I really appreciate it. And I'm just so happy to be a part of this knitting community because it's such a wonderful group of people. It really is. And, I have to tell you on a side note / personal note / I'm digressing a lot. Well, not a lot, just partially. I just finished that degree, my doctorate, and I think the anxiety of the past 3 years that, I sort of held my breath and held all the anxiety in as I was trying to finish, and during the dissertation, during all that stuff, all of that anxiety, it hits you after you're done and you say, oh gosh, I have to get a job, which, in academia with musicians is sort of difficult. But luckily, I have a part-time position right now, which is making me so excited. And my husband has one at the same school, which I don't know how that happened. It's like divine intervention. God heard us. But knitting has saved my brain from going into so much anxiety this summer. Knitting is one of those fiber arts that really is good for your brain. I mean, any of them, stitching, crocheting, any kind of art, any kind of craft is just so good for your brain. I'm sure there are so many, studies done on this to really show the proof that it is good for your brain. But I tell you what, friends, it's saved me immensely, especially all your podcasts. I mean, I have gotten to the point, other than my Downton Abbey obsession, oh my gosh, we'll talk about that later. Other than, that show and my Game of Thrones, which really I'm not as into as Downton Abbey. I'm really digressing. But, really, I watch all of you guys, and you guys bring me happiness and bring me joy and bring me, sort of solace. And when I come home, at the end of the day, or, I'm very grateful to be able to be a part of this community. So thank you guys. Thank you. Okay. I'll try not to sing too much today. Promise. Okay, what am I drinking? Well, today I am drinking, since we're talking of anxiety, I'm drinking Yogi Calming Tea, and it eases mild tension. Yes, that's my Yogi tea. And I'm drinking it in my wise old owl cup. Isn't he cute? I love mugs that are in the shape of animals. I'm sort of a dork. They just make me happy, just like yarn does, and colors, and music most of the time. Unless it's really hard music, and then sometimes it doesn't bring me joy. But I have so many mugs that are animal shaped, and they're really cute. So I will be showcasing those in the podcast each week. So yes, I have my calming tea in my wise old owl mug. I'm going to take a sip. And I have to say that as I'm going forward with this podcast, it's getting easier and easier to record the episodes. At first I was so nervous, and I think that I was talking a little too fast in the first two. I mean, I talk fast in general because, I'm from the Northeast, I'm from New York State, and it's just what we do up there. But, I feel now that, especially Joanna, I have to tell you again, Opera Joe, your encouragement was a huge relief to me. I got a message from her saying that she loved my podcast, and I was just overjoyed. I think I was jumping up and down in my living room, and my husband was just like, what's going on? I don't understand. So I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. So I'm going to get on with it because I wrote a lot of stuff down, but I'm glad I got through all that. So thank you, everybody. Okay, so I'm going to name this segment the Enabler Alert. And the big enablers, who I mentioned this before, and they probably don't watch my podcast. Jody and Tracy, I love you guys, Grocery Girls. If you don't watch the Grocery Girls, yeah, you need to watch them. They're amazing. They're one of the first podcasts I ever started watching, which I only started watching this summer. So I had a lot to catch up on. Them and the Periscoping Sisters, Deb and Amy. I love you guys too. And Sue and Chelsea, and of course Joanna, everybody is an enabler. So I have lists of things I want to buy, yarns I want to buy, project bags I want to buy. And the only thing I have in my enabler alert or / acquisitions section of this podcast is to only tell you. I can't show you yet. Next week I will be able to show you. But I have a shipping confirmation from the Madeline Tosh Mad Color of the Month Club, the sock yarn club. So that usually, because she's in Fort Worth and I'm, in Denton, Texas, it's so close that I usually get that in like a day. So I think I might have it tomorrow. And I was going to wait to record, but then I thought, no, I can't just wait to record just to show you one skate of yarn, can I? No, I shouldn't. So you'll just have to wait till next week. I will show you next week. Other than that, that's all I have in the enabler alert. Okay? So I want to skip forward to the yarn wish list. So I have started a yarn and project bag wish list. I have no project bags. This is how out of touch I am with this knitting community. Out of touch, okay? And my stash is quite small. Okay, it's not that small, but compared to most of you guys out there, it's pretty small. I'm building it up. My old stash of, now I have a huge stash of acrylic yarn, and I won't show you the pile that it's in behind this camera. It's sort of a mess. And that's one of my projects, is to organize all of that. But these are my good yarns. So these are the stuff I've been working with this summer. You know, all my Cascade, and I'll get all, most of these I've shown you guys before. My yarn from Syracuse. This is the Page Street Eversley Chartreuse. I'm not sure it's coming up very well, but it's very pretty. I'll show you guys I'll tell you about my whip in a moment with the sugar plum shawl. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know the horrors that I've had with color choices on this shawl. Soon, I promise, I'll tell you. So on my yarn wish list, I definitely want to get some Lolo Did It yarns. Oh my gosh, amazing. I really want hedgehog fibers, and I haven't been able to find the hedgehog fibers that I want, and I think they're just so popular. Especially, like, I love the neon colors and the speckles, all the really popular ones. I love bright pinks. And then, you know, they're very expensive too, because they're very in demand. So I haven't been able to find the hedgehog fibers that I want. But my inner Stephen West says, you need hedgehog fibers. So that's really high on my list. Lolo Did It. Sweet Georgia. I've never used Sweet Georgia, and oh my gosh, I've seen so many great skeins, you know, that people have used, especially Debbie and Amy and Grocery Girls. Speaking of which, I wish I lived in Edmonton, ladies, because River City Yarns looks fabulous. There's one yarn shop near me, but it's not really even. There are yarn shops, but they are at least 40 miles away. And if you've ever been to Dallas, Fort Worth area, I live 40 miles, about 40 to 50 miles north of Dallas, Fort Worth. And the traffic is horrendous. And in the past 10 years, it's just gotten worse. And going 40 miles takes you an hour and a half because it's just crazy. So the yarn stores that I have been to in Dallas and North Dallas, you know, they're nice. There's one I went to in Fort Worth that I loved. But I think, you know, I've seen River City Yarns has such great yarn, so I would love to come to Edmonton sometime. Big digressing. What point? I'm going to get to a point. More yarn wish list. So Lolo Did It, Sweet Georgia, Haute Knit Yarn. I follow her on Instagram, and her yarns are beautiful. I don't remember her name. I'll put her name up on the screen. But I have, Junk Yarn, Yarn Inc., so many that I have, on Etsy, I've favorited all these shops. And so I've got favorites. I've got a whole list. So when my paychecks come in from the university in the fall, I've got a list of yarns I'm going to buy. So everybody be ready. What are the yarns? Canon hand dyes. Oh my gosh. Which I just found out about through Joanna's Stitching the High Notes podcast. The Downton Abbey collection. What? Okay, this yarn. Okay, I have an unhealthy obsession with Downton Abbey now, and I had never watched it, and I was doing my degree. I was in a zone. I wasn't watching that many shows, just something that, I would watch what got me through my night so that I could fall asleep kind of thing, like funny shows. Seinfeld, Family Guy, those kind of things. I like those shows. And then I started watching Downton Abbey because I thought, you know what? Everybody has told me to watch Downton Abbey, so now I'm going to do it. Oh my gosh. Guys, season finale of season 3. What? I'm not sending. If you haven't watched Downton Abbey, just go watch Downton Abbey. Okay, so these yarns by Canon Hand Dyes, and she's on Etsy. I can't remember where she's out of. I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. The Downton Abbey collection is unbelievable. Every single character has its own colorway, and the colorways are spot on for the character. I mean, spot on. Lady Mary, Isabel Crawley, the Dowager. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So I'm having a little inspiration from that and the fact that I'm obsessively watching Downton Abbey. I'm on season 4. I think I'm in the 3rd episode now. I'm almost done. Oh my god, it's so good. I don't know what I'm going to do when it's done. I think I may have to rewatch it. Anyway, so that's my yarn wish list. I have favorites all over my Etsy shop that I've just got a whole wish list. My project bag wish list. Guys, I don't have any project bags. And I'm not crafty enough with sewing to make one yet. I need to learn more before I try to make one because I'm not the best sewer. I can get by with mending things, mending clothes, or, sewing simple things together. Like curtains, I can do curtains. That's about as much as my sewing goes to. I do have a sewing machine, but there are so many fabulous bag makers out there. Banna and Bean, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I follow her on Instagram, and girl, your bags are great. Amazing. Awesome Granny. Don't have any Awesome Granny bags yet either. Would love to have one. And of course, Mrs. Brown's bags. Jody, your bags are fabulous. And I know most of these bags go like that. So when you guys do shop updates, it's like you have to be ready. So hopefully in the fall, there will be more shop updates, maybe. And once I have more funds, I will definitely be ready for shop updates. But yeah, I'm ready for all of these things to come my way because the whole enabling from everybody is starting to get to me. I'm kidding. Okay. Whips. Let's talk knitting, friends. Let's talk more knitting. Let's see. I have 2 whips. I have 2. I'm going to insert here, okay, a small video, very quick, of me frogging my first and second attempt at the Sugar Plum Shawl. The Sugar Plum Shawl is by Mina Phillip, the Knitting Expat. It's a beautiful pattern. It's so beautiful. It's easy to remember the pattern. It looks stunning. It's great. And I was waiting for this pattern to come out because I had seen Jody of the Grocery Girls, not Jody, Tracy do it. And it was beautiful. And Tracy's is gorgeous. Yours is gorgeous. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do that pattern. So I went online, I bought the pattern right away, right when it, like the day it came out. And then I thought, well, I'll start it with this Frolicking Feet Rugosa Ridge, which I've shown you guys before. I'm not getting great color, but hopefully. So it's like bright pinks and greens. And it has cat hair. And it's gorgeous. I've had it for a long time. It's fingering weight. It's sort of like a higher twist, superwash merino, 100%. And it just didn't look right with the pattern because it's such a busy yarn. And when I went to Heartfelt Yarns and Fibers in Seneca Falls, New York, a couple weeks ago when I was home, Patty of the shop, she told me, yeah, it's too much, it's too busy, so you should add another color to it. So that's when I bought the chartreuse. And I'm having some other yarn issues here. Okay. So then I bought the chartreuse, and she had mentioned to do another pink with it, like a light pale pink. And that looked so good together, but I just couldn't. I mean, these, you know, they're $28 a skein, and right now I'm on a budget, so I couldn't do 2 of these. So I started putting these together in the sugar plum shawl. And I'll insert some pictures of my progress, but if you've been following me on Instagram, you've seen it. I knit probably 9 repeats of the main pattern, and I just was not feeling it. And I kept knitting it and kept knitting it, and I showed it to one of my dear friends who also knits here in Texas, and she said, she's very honest, and I love her for that. She's like, yeah, it doesn't work. And I was like, thank you for telling me this, because I thought that in my mind, but I just never, I didn't want to believe it, I guess. I didn't want to believe my gut. So I had a fun frogging party, and I taped it, and I will insert it here. That has been frogged, I was thinking, okay, I went back and looked at all of the FOs of the sugar plum shawl that people have finished on Ravelry. And I was trying to get color ideas, and I was thinking, which ones of these work? The ones that really work are ones that are sort of tonal, I guess, is it monochromatic? But, you know, things that aren't super intense yarns, like super variegated or patterned kind of yarns. And so I decided, I had this Cascade, I have 2 of these. It's Cascade Heritage yarns. It's sock yarn, 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. And it's just a beautiful blue. I don't know if you can see it pretty well. It's very pretty. I mean, it's really gorgeous. So I had 2 of these that I had gotten at in Seneca Falls. And I thought, you know what? Okay. And then I had a unicorn tail button jar blue. That's hard to say. It's very hard to say. And so I decided, you know what? I just put the yarns next to each other, and they looked so good. So, in my little yarn bowl from Darn Good Yarns, woohoo, love it, I started, actually this is the right way. It's still on the needles, okay? But this is the 3rd attempt. So I've been knitting away. I'm really trying to finish this cal. The knit along ends August 31st with Mina. So it's part of the Knitting Expat podcast knit along. I'm trying to finish. But this finally works, I think. What do you think? And this is the Madeline Tosh Unicorn Tail. And this is 100% superwash merino, and it is so soft, and it has all these sort of tonal qualities to it. It's very slight, but I mean, it really does. And then I put a couple little, you know, rows in there, sort of alternating the colors, and then I went straight to the blue. So I don't know. I think it works, guys. I sort of like it a lot. So I'm excited to finish this, and I also did it on smaller needles. I know Mina doesn't really say much about the gauge in this pattern. I won't say too much, but I went down to the needles that she actually suggested we use. Maybe I should follow the pattern next time, and it won't give me so much trouble. And so I'm using US 5, and I can't remember what these are. 3.5 millimeters. I think that's US 5. Yeah. And so it's just really fun now. Now it's all I want to knit, and it is all I am knitting pretty much. So that's one whip, and I'm very happy with this now, finally. Because you know when you're just not happy with something, but it's such a pretty pattern, you want it to look nice. And so now, hopefully, I think it looks much better than it did. So there's that. And my only other whip is my, I'm just calling these my Madeline Tosh Video Baby Vanilla Socks. And, okay. And I'm knitting these on my Chai-Goos, and these are US 1.5. So that is 2.25? No, 2.5 millimeter, right? I don't know. Don't quote me. They're US, I'll get better at that. They're US 1.5. So, Video Baby. Hopefully it's coming out well. I'm not sure the color is doing much justice today, but. And then this, I also need to put on my wish list progress keepers and stitch markers. I have these are knit picks, these little ones. And then this is something I got at Jennings Street Yarns. I had that last week. It's just a little kitty cat. It's cute. So I just attached my stitch marker to another stitch marker and made it a progress keeper. I like to think I'm crafty, but really, I'm just, yeah, I don't know. So this is the yarn. I showed this last time. I'm still working on it. I got a little farther than I did last time, but it's just a vanilla sock, and I'm gonna do, I'll put it this way, that's a little bit better. Colors are super fun. I'm gonna do a Fish Lips Kiss Heel, which I love, and I'm so excited. I bought that pattern. It's only $1, and it is so worth it. It's 16 pages long, but guys, it makes sock knitting so much easier, I believe. I mean, I can do the gusset and, you know, the heel flap, and I can do short rows, but I find that this is the easiest heel I think I've ever done. And I have a friend who I'm trying to help with sock knitting, and she absolutely, she calls them damn socks. Sorry for the language, but that's what she calls them. And she is having a hard time with socks, and so I'm trying to teach her about, she bought the pattern as well for the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and she loves it. And so hopefully, you know, that'll make it easier for her too, because I think it really is made my life so much easier. So now what I want to do after I finish this sugar plum shawl is knit socks all the time. So that's all I have for whips. I mean, I have some old whips, but I haven't worked on those in months. So, and I don't have any FOs to show you guys. So, oh, I do have an emergency snack. Oh my God. Sue and Chelsea, you can tell that I've been binge watching you guys. Legacy Knits Podcast. And they now have Legacy Knits Fiber Arts, and they sell their own amazing yarn. Ladies, okay, first, I'm digressing so much. You guys make me so excited, I don't even know where to start. Okay, my emergency snack and my Minnie Mouse bowl, isn't it cute, is Cheesy Poofs. Yeah, that's right. Just like Cartman of South Park, I like Cheesy Poofs. It's bad, but these are organic, so maybe that makes it better. Probably not. But you know what? It's okay. So they're organic Cheesy Poofs. And my husband hates it when I eat Cheesy Poofs, but that's okay because he's not here right now. Yes. So, okay, what was I going to say about Sue and Chelsea? So Sue and Chelsea's new hand-dyed yarn, they have a line, and I know it's all gone now, but they're doing another shop update, I believe soon, maybe in another couple weeks. And so they're on Etsy. They have an Etsy store now, Legacy Fiber Arts. And they did a whole line of yarns based on the characters from Hocus Pocus. Ladies, oh my gosh, do you know how much I love that movie? That movie, my best friend, Steven, he lives in Ohio now. He's also a singer. He wouldn't mind me talking about him because he's fabulous. He knows it. He was the one. I remember watching Hocus Pocus when I was a kid and liking it then because I loved Bette Midler. Who doesn't love Bette Midler? Come on. Oh my gosh. And he and I somehow started watching it in my master's degree. He was doing an undergrad, I was doing master's. And that became one of our movies. That and Connie and Carla and My Big Fat Greek Wedding. But Hocus Pocus, I have to watch it every single Halloween. And when we got rid of our TV, because we only do Netflix and Hulu now, and YouTube podcasters, I'm talking to you guys. We got rid of our TV, I didn't have any access to it because it wasn't on any of, the streaming places, so like Netflix and Hulu. And so I had to buy it. So I have it now forever on my iPad and my iTunes library. So when I saw that you guys were doing yarn inspired by those characters, oh my gosh. Especially Winnie. I love Winnie's. Winnie's colors are beautiful, guys. So if you guys are lucky enough to get some of their yarn on their next update, go and do it because it's amazing. I can't wait. I hope I can do that when their next update comes up. But Sue and Chelsea, you guys are great. I think you guys have such a great relationship as mother and daughter. It's really awesome. So I'm going to move on to my project wish list. And there are so many projects on my queue on Ravelry. I think there are at least 35 now. So, and I didn't even realize you could put things in your queue until probably 2 weeks ago. So now all of my favorites, well, not all of them because there's so many favorites that I have, but I've started putting things in my queue. And now it's hard to figure out which one I want to go next. So, a couple of them. On this yarn that I showed maybe last time, it's the Plymouth Yarn Zeno 75 Superwash Merino 25 nylon. It's sort of greens and I think it's sort of washing out maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. But it knits up like this. This green, it's greens and tans. It's very pretty sock yarn, and I would love to make Debbie Reese's Don't Touch Those Leaves socks. I love those socks. That's probably, I don't know what number it is on it may be number 2 on my my queue, my project wish list. Definitely want to do that with these. The next thing I want to do is the Sizzle Pop. I think that's the one with brioche, and it's sort of looks like, not brioche lacy, but it's very cool, and it's 2-color brioche, and it has a really funky pattern. I really enjoy brioche a lot, so I want to try that one, and I also want to try the Squishalicious. I saw, as I was binge watching Legacy Knits Podcast, I saw Sue and Chelsea working on that. I think it was several months ago though. But I saw them working on it. I definitely want to work on that one too. So there are some other ones as well, but those are the top three that I really want to do. And I need to see, about getting some more yarn, but also, while I'm here with the yarn stash, I made a pair of socks out of this. I showed these on my first podcast, I think. Out of this Grindel hot sock yarn, and look at those colors. It's awesome. And it's self-striping. Beautiful, beautiful yarn. This is superwash wool. I think it's just 100% superwash wool. 100 grams, 420 meters. It's just amazing how it knits up. I mean, just look at the striping when it knits up. It's pretty fabulous. So, yeah. So I made some socks out of that, and I have a whole skein, probably a skein and a quarter left. So I wanted to make my friend, my other knitting friend here in Texas, I wanted to make her a pair of socks. And so this was sitting in my stash basket here, and as I was frogging my second attempt of the sugar plum shawl with my nice chartreuse, I saw them together and I thought, oh my gosh, heels and toes and maybe some cuffs with this. Wouldn't that be amazing? So maybe even just vanilla socks, just with, you know, the heels and the toes and the cuffs with this chartreuse. I think that would be great. So that's another one on my list. And eventually I would like to make this into socks. But I just haven't started that. I have much more of this. I mean, I have a total of, I think, probably 437 yards of this, so that would make a pair of socks easy. And I also am trying to start a new Cozy Memories blanket. And I started another one, but I used yarns that were not all the same weight. And it didn't look very good. And I thought, well, maybe it'll even itself out as I put more blocks on. No. So I have decided that I am going to do a proper Cozy Memories blanket with only sock yarn. But I don't have a ton of sock yarn left. So I need to make more socks, I think. But I have, you know, I've got a little ball of this Rugosa Ridge. And I actually started, this is funny. I think I cast on half of the stitches. Yeah, I really haven't started that yet. But that's on my project wish list as well. Maybe I'll do some of that this evening. I'm just on this sugar plum kick. So, and these are just DPNs. These are size 3, US 3. And these are actually plastic, and they are from New Zealand, and I can't remember, I don't have the package with me right here, but I got these many, many years ago to actually make socks with, and I never made socks. I mean, years and years ago, probably 8 years ago, and I just saw them in my my needle bag, which my mom gave me. It says, "Love who you are." So it's very zen. It's very cool. It's got awesome tassel that's falling apart because of my beautiful cats who like to eat it. But I saw these needles in there and I thought, oh, you know, I should really, again, follow the pattern and use, I know there's several patterns out there. I think I have, maybe it's Kemper's Junk Yarn podcast. Yeah, I think it's maybe Kemper's pattern, the coziest memory blanket. I can't remember. And I also decided to make my squares smaller, as I saw Chelsea's blanket. Her squares are very small, and I liked that a lot. So I think for my attention span, as a soprano, sometimes, you know, my attention span goes, woo! For my attention span, I think smaller squares would be easier for me. So that's what's on this needle. Partially. So hopefully I'll finish the cast on tonight. That's a goal. That is a good goal. It's not too big, you know, not too small of a goal, but it's a good goal to have. So I'm going to try to finish my cast on. So that's that. And what else? Guys, I don't know what else to talk about, but I just don't really want to leave you quite yet. So, actually I do know what to talk about. I think that's really it with all those. And then my socks from last time. These are an FO, but I already showed these, so it really doesn't count, but I just love them so much, and I can't wait to wear them. Look at those! Look at. I don't have sock blockers yet either. That's another thing on my wish list, sock blockers. But that'll come. That'll come. Yeah, look at This is that Madeline Tosh, I think it's Neruda base. And this and the Video Baby here is 80 superwash merino, 10% cashmere. So it's got just enough of that softness, and then it's got 10% nylon. So this is a great base. I am a little worried. I've heard a lot of people talk about that Madeline Tosh, when you wash them, the dye tends to run. And especially with these, I'm really nervous about that because these are all really intense colors. So they're intense violets and magentas and intense blue and orange. So I'm slightly nervous that these are going to run. This not so much. Well, I guess so because of the black. The black may run into my green. But we'll see. I mean, I'll just maybe wash them in cold water and hope for the best. But who was I watching the other day? Brooklyn Knit Folk. Jacqueline was talking about this, and she was getting animated about it too, actually. So, but that made me worry a little bit, like, yikes, you know, maybe I should be pretty careful with this. So that's why, you know, I really want to jump into some different yarn dyers, and not that I don't love Madeline Tosh. I love Madeline Tosh. I'm a part of the yarn club, so hopefully everything will go well. Where's the other? Can I show you this? I have to dig in my stash of yarn. Ah, yes. Okay. It's gonna go in my tea. Okay, my poor cake is just a mess. But this is another Madeline Tosh that I got last month for the sock club, and this is Stardust, and this is the Euro sock. So I think this is 100%. I lied. I think I'm lying. Oh yeah, it's 100% merino wool. And this is really squishy. I mean, this is super squishy stuff. So same concern, you know, it's not as, these colors aren't as bright, but there are some, look at my poor cake, it's falling apart. There are some bright ones. So there's this one right there is pretty bright. I don't know if you can see that, but but it's so pretty. I mean, it's all these purples and pale blues. So I showed that last week, but this I'm thinking is going to be socks. I haven't decided what to do with this yet. So this is just going to live in my stash until I find something else to put with it. I did think maybe these two together would be something cool for socks. Like this is a Madeline Tosh unicorn tail, torchire, but I thought that would look sort of cool. I don't know, maybe, we'll see. So I think the only other thing I have is my Catching Up on Life episode. See, I'm thinking about yarn and then I get distracted. That's called, folks, a soprano moment. Be lucky that you just witnessed that. My next segment of Catching Up on Life is, I sort of talked about a lot of it, but my Downton Abbey obsession, of course. DivaKnitz Podcast, caught up on that. The other podcast I caught up on was, and I had not watched this before. I haven't watched all of them, but the Happy Knitting Podcast, I think her name is Julia. I'll check. I'll put that down there. But that podcast is great. She's in Germany. The girl is writing her master's thesis in like psychology. Go for it, girlfriend. You got this. You totally got this. She's great. And I started following her on Instagram. And I'm the stalker that stalks you. If you watch this, you may not even watch this. Who knows? But I loved her podcast. That was great. Julia. See, I wrote it down. I should have looked at my notes. Just like following patterns, friends, I should look at my notes. I promise I won't do this when I'm teaching. When I'm teaching the youth of America to sing, I will look at my notes. Yeah. And follow patterns. Not that I'll be knitting for them, but you never know. Maybe I can inspire them to knit. Wouldn't that be something? Knitting club. Okay. See? Soprano moment. some other things that I have, some other goals I have while catching up on life, other than cleaning my house and filling my new china cabinet here, is cleaning up my office. I have an office here in our house, and it's a mess. It is basically filled with dissertation drafts, books from my dissertation that I bought, some that came from as far as Germany and Austria, that are still in the packages because they're very old books. One was from 1921, and it's actually a very cool book. Granted, I think I'm the only one that knows about this composer, but but yeah, my office is a mess, and I've got a desk in there. I've got everything in there. I have all the tools to make it a beautifully organized crafting room, but I have not gotten to it yet. I need to go through my closet and throw a whole bunch of stuff away. I mean, my husband and I have moved probably 5 or 6 times since we've lived in Texas in the past 12 years. And you know those things that you take with you every place you move and you never use them? Yeah, it's time to throw those away. I started doing that this weekend in my bathroom, which I had hair gels. I don't even know why I'm admitting this on YouTube, but we're friends, right? Okay. I had hair gels that were over 10 years old underneath my cabinet. Some I've never used. Hand lotions, some I've never used. So I just took a big garbage bag and I threw everything away. I kept some things, obviously, but I organized old hair ties. I mean, come on. Like, hair ties I've had since high school. I'm not young, folks. High school. Okay? I mean, we're going 20 years now. 20 years. So I had a big purge, at least in one room of my house. So now I need to do that in the rest of my house. So the next place to do that this weekend is my office. So hopefully next week I'll be podcasting from my office, which hopefully will be filled with yarn, organized, of course, on shelves and in bins. And yeah, hopefully it'll be organized and fun. And I won't have to sit at my dining room table. Not that it's not a nice dining room table. It is. I think that's really, so the other thing I would love to do is I just wanted to throw this out there. If anybody needs a test knitter for a new pattern, I would love to be a test knitter. I love knitting. I love new patterns. I love new stitches. I love learning, and so I would love to be a test knitter if anybody needs a test knitter. And if we're going to start a knit along soon, hopefully me and Joanna and maybe Becky. We haven't decided what to do yet, but I know Becky's moving to Germany, so when she gets there, hopefully she'll want to take part. We love you, Becky. We love you, girlfriend. And you sounded so good in your video the other day. Oh my gosh. She posted this video of her singing, and she's phenomenal. Really phenomenal. You guys should watch her podcast too. It's Stringing It Together. Soprano Knits, Becky. She's awesome. And everybody watch Opera Joe. I'm sure you already do, because she's Opera Joe. She's awesome. Joanna's great. Stitching the High Notes. So we're thinking about doing a knit along soon here, but we just have to decide what to do. I think it would be fun to do something along with like a show, but I don't know. We're still in the works. So, but if we do a knit along, and I would like to do a knit along even just, eventually too, do several knit alongs. If anybody wants to donate to the knit along prizes, please let me know. You can just send me a message in Ravelry. And I check that quite often. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. This was a longer episode. I had more to say, more to thank everybody for. So thank you for watching, and yeah, enjoy tea and knitting. Actually, no, I'm not gonna knit socks. I'm gonna finish this sugar plum shawl. I'm gonna finish it. Okay, here we go, guys. The goal, finish projects. Okay. Till next time, everybody. Bye.